Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're taking a deep dive into Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power.
Hmm.
It came out back in 1998,
Right.
and it's become, well, super influential, but also pretty provocative for a lot of people. So our mission here is really to pull out the key insights and also the main criticisms you find in reviews, just to help you get a handle on its impact and, the debates it still stirs up.
And what's fascinating, I think, about Green's whole approach is how he uses history.
Mm.
He's drawing from, well, Machiavelli, Sun Tzu, Napoleon, even Queen Elizabeth I. Big names.
Yeah.
The basic idea is to lay out these 48 laws strategies really for gaining power, keeping it, and using it effectively. And that applies across the board, personal life, work life.
So thinking about his strengths first, when
Right.
people review it positively, what are the things that consistently come up?
Well, a big one is definitely the history, the rich historical examples. Each law isn't just, a statement. It's illustrated with these really compelling stories. You've got courtiers, kings, revolutionaries, con artists. It makes it, frankly, informative, but also quite entertaining to read.
And what about the psychological side? Does it feel like deep insight or more just stating the obvious about how people can be?
That's a good question. Many reviews really praise how deep it goes into human behavior. Things like ambition, manipulation, fear, trust, leadership.
Uh-huh.
It sort of exposes how power dynamics actually work, sometimes subtly, sometimes very openly. It gives you this kind of raw look at what's going on underneath human interaction. Critics often pointed to its, let's say, unapologetic clarity on these less comfortable parts of our nature.
Yeah, that unapologetic part seems key. It's often described as bold, uncompromising, not really sugarcoating things,
No, definitely not.
embracing realism, maybe even cynicism. How did reviewers generally react to that directness, that focus on the, well, darker side of power and just plain survival?
And that boldness, like you said, it leads us right into the main criticisms because it is often seen as morally controversial.
Right? And it's really important to get into why critics feel that way. So, you get the full picture, a balanced view.
Okay, let's get into those criticisms then.
So when you look at the reviews, yeah, the moral question is front and center. A lot of critics argue it basically encourages manipulation, deceit, a very cold, calculated way of dealing with people.
Mm-hmm.
Some call it amoral or even potentially dangerous if you take these laws, literally without thinking critically.
Okay.
Another big critique is that it can feel maybe overly formulaic. The laws are presented almost like universal truths, right?
Yeah.
But critics point out, hey, some of these actually contradict each other. Like Law 6, court attention at all costs, seems to clash with Law 36, disdain things you cannot have.
Huh. Interesting point.
Yeah, so following them blindly, that could definitely backfire in real life. And while the historical stories are great, some reviewers did find the structure, the law, then the example, then
Right.
the reversal got a bit predictable over like 400 pages. Fair enough. So let's make this concrete for you listening. Give us a taste of some key laws, just to show that directness we talked about.
Sure. Take Law 1. Never outshine the master.
Okay.
Essentially, always make your superiors feel comfortably superior. Don't make them insecure, or you might pay the price.
Right. Or Law 3, conceal your intentions, keep people guessing, off balance, never show your true hand.
Exactly. Then there's a really stark one. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. The idea being a partial victory just invites revenge later, end the threat completely.
Wow, okay.
And maybe one more, Law 48, assume formlessness. Be adaptable, unpredictable, like water, hard to grasp, hard to control.
You can really see how those might apply in, say, office politics or business negotiations, can't you?
Absolutely. And that brings us to who this book really speaks to. Aspiring leaders, entrepreneurs, strategists definitely find it relevant.
Hmm.
Also, anyone in really competitive fields, corporate life, politics, even entertainment. And of course, if you're just interested in psychology, power dynamics, or military history, there's a lot there.
Okay, so let's leave you with a final thought to chew on. Considering everything, the rich history, the insights, but also those pretty serious moral criticisms we've discussed about the 48 Laws of Power, how might you personally approach a text like this? How would you pull out useful knowledge about human nature and power while still, critically evaluating its advice and what it might mean in your own life?
It really is about that critical engagement, isn't it? Not just taking it at face value. We hope you keep exploring these kinds of complex ideas, always with that critical mindset,